Our anime begins with our hero Sora, who finishes all his housework by himself because his aunt, Kade, who lives with him, is busy delivering the work she has to do. We learn that Sora is a high school student, and his father doesn't live with him because he travels a lot due to his job, which is being an explorer who travels around the world. So he's always busy and never around. And one day, a package arrives for him with his name on it. So he calls for Kade to open the door. But as usual, she's busy and doesn't answer him. So he goes to receive it himself and is surprised when he finds it's a giant package and finds out it's from his father. And the bigger shock is when he finds it's a coffin, and with it is a huge letter. His father tells him in it that he is currently in Egypt and sent him these gifts, which are a very cute mummy. And he tells him that he will surely love it and wants it to live with him and be his friend. Our hero says that this isn't normal for anyone, but for his father, the strange gifts he always sends, this is considered normal. The kid is afraid to open the coffin and imagines the mummy's scary appearance, but suddenly the coffin door moves, and finally the mummy appears. But contrary to expectations, it's a small creature with a very kind appearance, and this in itself is what makes Sora even more scared. And despite its kind appearance and it showing that it could never hurt him, Sora tries to stay away from it as much as possible because he doesn't trust his father and the things he sends. He puts it back in the coffin and closes it on him and repeats that he will send it back to Egypt, but he notices that water is leaking from under the coffin, which turns out to be the mummy's tears. So he picks it up and cleans the place and wants to send it back again, but it runs towards them and doesn't want to go back and does these strange motions, offering to Sora that it will stay here and do the housework. Sora says that's impossible because of its small size, but it insists, so he is forced to let it try. And as expected, it can't even lift the smallest things. And despite its failure, it keeps sticking to Sora, so he won't send it back again. So he goes afterwards to read some instructions about the mummy and opens and searches through ancient Egyptian books. And when the mummy feels that he wants to send it back, it starts crying. And at that moment, he feels bad for it, so he repeats that he will let it stay with him. That's it, and that he will choose a name for it. But their talk is interrupted by Sora's dog, whose name is Bucci. So Sora gets up to check on him, and this makes the mummy feel jealous when it sees Sora treating the dog well. So it tries to imitate the dog's sound to get his attention, and runs to him and holds onto his back and doesn't want to let him go, and imitates the dog's sound again. And the two of them start fighting with each other, the mummy and the dog. And this makes Sora yell at them, both of them, to be quiet. And he repeats afterwards that he will choose a name for the mummy and names him Miko. Miko becomes very happy with his name and understands that he has finally agreed to let him stay with him. Afterwards, Sora goes to let him drink, but he can't because the cup is too big for him, so he lets him drink from the bottle cap, and afterwards he watches him. Then he watches the dog eating, so he thinks about what he will eat, and he takes out all the food in the fridge and tries it with him, one by one, and in the end, he only agrees to eat apples and macaroni. I don't know what the connection is, but that's how it is. And he wants to get him Molokia because he's Egyptian, and maybe he will eat it, right? He's a mummy, after all. Night comes, and he sees Sora sleeping on the dog very calmly and is happy with his new friend who joined him. The next day at school, he tells his secret to his friend Tazuki that his father got him a gift, and it turned out to be a small, cute mummy. So the kid is surprised by what he hears and says to him, "How can you deal with the matter so normally?" So he asks Sora to come with him to see it. And indeed, after school, the two of them go to Sora's house after they bought food for Miko. But as soon as they enter, they find the mummy not moving. So he calls to it and goes to get water for it to drink. And indeed, it gets up afterwards as if nothing had happened. Tazuki is surprised that something like this is even alive and says to himself that he wants to dissect it to see what's inside. And Miko senses his malicious intention and immediately moves away from him. Afterwards, Tazuki leaves and night comes, and Sora takes Miko to bathe him, and he notices that it floats on the surface of the water. But afterwards, he is shocked to find its body absorbing the water and becoming puffed up, and it can't seem to figure out how to do that. Anyway, the next day comes, and we see Sora with Tazuki at school, and Tazuki gives him his notebook to copy the English homework from, because Sora fails every time, and he tells him that he will come to study with him today for the upcoming exam. So our hero goes home and is surprised when he finds Miko not moving, suffering from dryness like yesterday, and immediately goes to get water for it to drink, and asks it if it drinks water water when he is not around. Miko replies that it does drink, and this makes Sora wonder about the reason for the dryness that comes over it, but he doesn't think about it too much and goes to prepare dinner. And he sees Miko trying to lift the knife to help him cook, but it's too heavy for it. What are you doing, man? It's coming for you. So he gets an idea and makes a small knife for it, its size, using a small file, and indeed it works, and Miko starts cutting the small vegetables while working. A piece of vegetable falls, so it goes to pick it up, but it also falls after it, and it's about to hit the ground. But our hero catches it at the last moment, and as a result, its face hits the wall. So it apologizes to him, Miko, because it didn't mean to, and just wanted to pick up the vegetable that fell. But Sora tells it that it's no problem, and this makes it love him more. Afterwards, our hero leaves the food to cook and goes to do his homework, and Miko loves to help him, but it messes up Tazuki's notebook. So Sora gets an idea so as not to upset it and makes a small picture book for it, its size. But then Tazuki comes and yells at him when he finds him busy and hasn't finished the homework he has to do. So our hero calms him down and goes to get him something to eat. And Miko is afraid because it will be left alone with Tazuki and imagines that he wants to eat it. On the other hand, Tazuki wants to get close to it. So he offers it food and smiles at it. And this makes Miko trust him. And when it goes to taste the food, Tazuki grabs it. He says, "Finally, I caught you." He tries to see the beginning of the cloth on it to find out what is inside. But at that moment, Sora comes, gets angry at him, and tells him that this cloth is considered Miko's skin and that he must not do that again. Tazuki then gets scared of him and apologizes, saying that he didn't mean to, but curiosity got the better of him. Afterwards, Sora gives him dog food to make him get closer to Miko because it loves him. And indeed, the plan succeeds, and Miko is no longer afraid of Tazuki. Finally, afterwards, Sora tells him about the issue of the mummy's dryness, and he thinks that they have to take it to school with him because the matter has repeated several times, and this makes Tazuki shocked, and he tries to make him change his mind. But Sora insists, and indeed the next day he takes it with him to school and hides it in his bag. After class, the three of them stop, and Sora makes Miko promise that he will never let anyone know that it exists at all, and if anyone sees it, to act like it's just a doll that doesn't move. And Tazuki offers to put it in his desk instead of the bag, meaning it would be better. So when they go to class, they take Miko to put it in the desk, but at that moment, it sneezes and makes a sound. And one of their classmates named Tigo notices and asks him if that is his toy. But Sora and Tazuki are shocked when she asks them if the toy can sneeze. So Sora tries to hide the matter and says that he was the one who sneezed because he has a cold. And Tigo wants to play with Miko, so Sora offers to make a mummy like it for her. And after class, he actually manages to sew 3 dolls similar to Miko. And Tazuki is amazed by his talent and speed. But their talk is cut short by Tiego, who comes and is happy when she sees her toy and takes one and leaves immediately. But afterwards, Sora and Tazuki discover that she took the real Miko, and their faces turn pale. They grab colors and move immediately to catch up with her before she discovers the truth. But the class bell rings and it turns out to be PE class. Tiego puts Miko with her clothes in the girls' locker room, and Miko is afraid because it's alone. But at that moment, it sees an opening under the wall and thinks that if it goes through it, it will surely find Sora and Tazuki. So it goes to enter it, but finds a wall in front of it. So it climbs on it, and the problem is that it leads it into the air conditioner, and it is shocked when it finds a rat in front of it. So the rat starts running after it, and Miko runs away from it. On the other hand, Sora and Tazuki's PE class starts, and they notice Tigo's bag, so they think Miko is in it. Sora then decides to finish all the exercises quickly to go to Tigo and ask her, and as soon as the coach gives them the signal, he runs very fast and indeed finishes. When he goes to Tiego and asks her about what's in her bag, he is surprised when she takes out a towel. He worries more about Miko and goes to search for it everywhere. At the same moment, the mummy is still running from the rat coming after it, and Sora feels that there is something in the tree, and indeed, Miko and the rat appear. Tazuki quickly, with his towel, manages to catch the rat, and they get away from Miko, and Sora is very happy that it is safe and nothing happened to it. Afterwards, we see Tiego in class apologizing to him because she lost the toy he gave her, but Sora tells her it's no problem. He gives her a fake Miko doll and tells her that he found it in the hallway, so she thanks him and is very happy with it. And at home, Sora asks Miko about his first experience at school, and Miko is scared about what happened, but repeats that it will keep going because it wants to spend more time with Sora. Afterwards, we see Sora going out to take out the trash, and Miko is sitting with the dog. And at that moment, Kade finally finishes her work and comes out, and she thinks that the food on the table is dog food and some small macaroni. So she thinks thinks that she was so busy with Sora, to the extent that he is eating poor food like this. And as soon as he enters, she hugs him and keeps crying because she feels sorry for him. But he calms her down and tells her that this is Miko's food and introduces her to him because it's the first time she's seen it and that his father sent it to him in a coffin. And she doesn't pay attention to any of this talk except for the coffin and immediately asks Sora to show it to her. And as soon as she sees it, she is very happy with it, and it becomes clear that she was the one who asked her brother, who is Sora's father, to get her the coffin. Sora leaves her while she is happy with her gift and moves to go to school, but before he leaves the door, he faints, and it turns out that his temperature is very high and he has caught a cold, so he stays in bed and doesn't go to school and asks Kade to leave him alone in the room and locks himself in so no one catches it from him, but he wants to drink and can't move. On the other hand, Kade is sitting with Miko and Buchi, telling him that she is happy because a new friend joined them, and she tells him that she is not afraid of him because she has seen many types like him before. At that moment, her phone rings, and it's Sora asking her to bring him water because he can't move. So she gets very angry at him and goes to try to open the room, but he refuses, so no one catches it from him. She doesn't give up and puts on a mask and enters through the window, and in the end, he kicks her out again. Miko sits with the dog, and she covers him and tells him that she will make food. Miko watches her as she cooks and remembers his friend Sora, who is sick and starts crying. At Sora's place, he is very sweaty and gets up to change his clothes, but he hears Kade's loud voice as she is yelling at Miko, and as soon as he arrives, he finds Miko has been affected by another case of dryness. Kade tells him that it was crying and afterwards it stopped moving, so Sora realizes at that moment that before, when it suffered from dryness, it was also crying because it felt lonely the whole time he wasn't with it, so he repeats that he will let it stay with him forever, but he faints, and Kade takes him back to his room and leaves Miko with him. Time passes and Tazuki comes after calling Kade and finding out from her that Sora is sick, and that's why he came to visit him. So Sora asks him to feed Miko and the dog because he forgot about them. At night, Miko is sitting next to Sora, but suddenly Sora starts coughing and it appears that he is very sick. Miko remembers the compresses that Kade was making for him and repeats doing them himself, but he can't take the towel with him because the desk is high and it's heavy for him. So he leaves it and goes up by himself and gets down into the water dish and goes afterwards to sit on Sora's forehead and becomes the compress itself. And this makes our hero feel a good feeling. Miko stays like that all night, and in the morning, Sora wakes up and his condition has improved, and he is also ready to go to school. But the surprise is that Miko is the one who is sick, so he decides to stay with him and be absent from school, and he calls Tazuki and tells him that he will be absent today as well, and he is sitting with him. Miko signals to him that it wants to go out, so Sora tries to convince it that the weather is cold and it's not suitable, but it insists in a strange way, so our hero is forced to agree and lets it wear winter clothes, and then they go out. He is surprised when Miko gets down to the ground and starts digging a hole, but it's difficult for them. It can't finish it. So the dog Buchi understands it and goes to dig the hole for it himself, and afterwards, Miko goes to narrow the hole that the dog dug and goes down into it. And this makes Sora very scared, and he doesn't know what to do, so he waits for it until it comes out, and it goes to search in the papers his father sent with it, maybe to find out something about what Miko is doing, but he doesn't reach any conclusion. In the end, time passes, and the situation remains as it is, and Sora is very worried that something might have happened to Miko, and remembers the old days when he and Tazuki found an injured sparrow together, and Sora decided to take it, but Tazuki stopped him and told him that it would die, and there was no hope for it to get better. But Sora insisted on his decision, and unfortunately, as expected, the sparrow died, and his heart was broken over it. He doesn't want the situation to repeat with his new friend, and this time, he will be the cause if something happens to it, because the illness was transmitted to it from him. And in the midst of his sadness and pessimistic thinking, suddenly Miko emerges from under the soil. Sora goes to check on it, but he notices that everything about it is fine, except that it is hungry, and it looks like it wants to eat. At that moment, Kade comes and is happy when she finds them well and prepares dinner for them. Tazuki also comes and has dinner with them, and before he leaves, he tells Sora that he was worried about him because he knows his personality. He would blame himself if something happened to Miko, but he is happy now because it didn't happen at all, and Miko is also fine now. Afterwards, he says goodbye and leaves. Sora, at that time, writes down all the notes he learned about Miko, that it can heal itself when it buries itself itself in the soil. The bandages on it are like its skin and have no beginning or end, and he says to himself that there are many things he still doesn't know about Miko, and he must find them out one by one. And in one of the streets, we see a small creature the same size as Miko standing alone, and we don't know what it is. Afterwards, we see Tazuki passing by the same street and hears the sound of someone walking behind him, and every time he stops, the sound stops. He thinks that it's a thief and wants to catch him, so he calls out to the one walking behind him, saying that he has nothing to steal. So the one who was hiding appears, and it's a small creature like Miko, and its name is Oni. This is the type of creature, not its name, but it looks strange and messy. Tazuki doesn't care and walks away, but the Oni walks after him. So Tazuki stops and says that he is not interested in its type and points to Sora's house for it to go there, because the people there are kind and know how to deal with small creatures. And afterwards, he leaves it and walks away. And indeed, the Oni doesn't walk after him, and as soon as he arrives home, his sister yells at him for being late, so he apologizes to her and goes up to his room, and is surprised when he opens the door because he finds the Oni outside his window. But he goes to close the window in its face and is annoyed that it followed him. He goes to study afterwards, and time passes, so he goes to check if it is still there or not. And indeed, he finds it still there, so he feels sorry for it and lets it into his room and tells it that it will be for one night only, that he will allow it to stay with him. He goes to look for something for it to eat, but he doesn't know what this type eats and when. He returns to his room. He finds it sleeping in his bed, so he yells at it because it is messy and will dirty his bed. He picks it up to clean it, and the Oni understands his words and jumps into a cup of water, but the water is hot and it gets burned. So Tazuki gets it a piece of ice and puts it on it. Afterwards, he takes it and lets it sleep next to him on the bed, and when he wakes up, he takes it to throw it out and tells it not to come back here again. And at school, we see one of the students telling his friend that he saw a strange creature in his garden before coming. Afterwards, Tazuki sits with Sora and tells him about the Oni from last night, and Sora, of course, is very excited to see it and suggests to Tazuki that he let it stay with him and raise it. But Tazuki says that the matter is over because he threw it out. It must have left by now. But when he goes, he finds it there, so he loses hope and says that it can stay with him that night only. But the matter keeps repeating a lot, and every morning Tazuki throws it out, but it comes back again, and the Oni has basically considered it its home to the extent that it lives with them normally. Tazuki's sister suggests that he give it a name, but he doesn't respond to her. Afterwards, he is with Sora and tells him what happened, so our hero suggests that he bring it to his house to play a bit with Miko. And at night, Tazuki looks at the Oni and remembers his memories when he was little, and the first time he saw one of the spirit creatures, and that was the first time he met Sora. And of course, these creatures don't appear to all humans, but since then, Tazuki started seeing them until one day he saw an Oni in the shape of a dragon, and it appeared to be injured and hurt, so he decided to take it with him. At that moment, sadness appears on him, but we don't know why. Time passes, and one day Tazuki returns from school and finds the Oni upset and holding a Miko doll, throwing it away. He doesn't understand what it wants, so they take it to Sora and Miko. And this is the first meeting between the two. Miko and the Oni sit facing each other without moving, but suddenly Miko starts running after it, and when it touches it, it's the Oni's turn, and it runs after Miko, and they start playing with each other. Sora watches them and is happy, and I and you, my friend, are surely happy too. He suggests to Tazuki that he give it a name, so he starts saying some names, but they are so bad that the Oni itself gets annoyed by them until he reaches the name Koni, and it likes it and agrees to it. Afterwards, they go to make food, and Tazuki watches Koni as it works and is still not convinced from within that he wants it to stay with him. And after they finish their gathering, night comes and he takes it to go home. But before he leaves, he gives Sora a paper to let him know the suitable food for Koni because he doesn't know. So Sora laughs and understands that he wants to keep it with him, despite showing the opposite. And when Tazuki goes home, he watches Koni as it sleeps and remembers his memories with the little dragon from before. And that because of his ignorance, he couldn't save it and put it in danger. And since that day, he has felt responsible for what happened and is afraid that if he accepts Koni with him, the same thing that happened before will repeat. But in the end, and because of Koni's insistence that it won't leave the house, Tazuki takes a step forward and finally agrees to let it stay with him. Anyway, afterwards we see them at school. One of their friends, named Shizuki, plays a prank on Tazuki and puts a toy lizard on his desk. But the prank doesn't succeed, and Tazuki catches him in the act. At that moment, he notices that Sora is focusing intensely on the lizard and is fascinated by it. So Shizuki gives him a toy lizard too to play with, so he gives it to Miko, and it becomes very happy with it and plays with it during break, wrapping it with its handkerchiefs. And as they are leaving, Tazuki asks Sora about the reason that makes him bring Miko to school every day, even though 2 months have passed, so he tells him that. Miko feels lonely at home, and he is currently thinking about training it on how to stay alone without him. Afterwards, he asks him if he plans to bring Koni to school with him, so Tazuki says he is crazy, and on the first day they bring it, they will all be exposed. And when they go home, Sora looks for Kade, who isn't making any sound, but is surprised to find her sleeping in the coffin his father sent. He leaves her to rest and closes it again because he knows she gets tired from her work. He goes afterwards to execute his plan and tells Miko that he will go out for a bit and come back, and if it can stay alone without crying, he will tell it a bedtime story. On the other hand, we see their classmate Tiago going to her house, but doesn't find her mother there. She has gone out to buy some groceries. Tiago goes to her room, but is surprised to find a huge lizard in front of her. The thing she is most afraid of is lizards. It is not a lizard, but a spirit in the form of a small dragon. But Tiago doesn't know that, and from her shock, she stands still without moving. When she realizes the situation, she starts screaming and falls to the ground. The dragon doesn't know what to do, so it brings her toy to calm her down, but she gets more scared and runs away. And of course, it, like the innocent, runs after her. When she finds it flying after her, she throws anything in her hands at it. She thinks she is done with it, but finds it standing next to her as if nothing happened. At the same time, Sora is walking in the street and arrives in front of Tiago's house and finds her running towards him at once, crying. He tries to calm her down to understand from her what is happening, so she tells him that there is a huge lizard inside and asks him to help her. Sora agrees to her words, but as soon as he enters, he is shocked by the scene he sees, because the whole house is turned upside down, so he becomes afraid of Tigo, not the lizard, because of her strength with which she managed to destroy the house like that. He searches through the drawers and indeed finds it, and tells her that it is a dragon, not a lizard, but she is still terrified and runs away. The dragon talks to Sora in sign language and tries to explain to him that it was worried about her because she fell from the stairs and hurt her legs. Sora then goes to talk to Tigo and explains the matter to her, and she remembers that it didn't come after her until after she fell, and also in her room. It didn't try to hurt her. The girl then calms down and apologizes to him because she misunderstood him. The dragon comes and offers her a flower, and this makes her take it in a hug, and she becomes sad that she was about to hurt it. Afterwards, Sora takes her to his house, and on the way, he tells her that these creatures are called spirit creatures. He also has one at home. He takes her with him to show her, and tells her that he called Tazuki to come too. So Tiago asks him if they are friends outside of school, he and Tazuki. So Sora replies that they are friends since kindergarten, and all his life he was alone, but Tazuki was the only one who was with him, and until now, he is his best friend. And he tells her that he appears cold on the outside, but he is very kind. They arrive afterwards at Sora's house, and as soon as Miko feels that he has arrived, it runs to him, but is shocked when it sees Tiago and also the dragon with her, so it starts crying. Sora then goes to calm it down and praises it for being able to stay alone in his absence. Tiago, on the other hand, is surprised because she thought Miko was just a children's toy. So Sora explains to her the reason that made him do that, because he doesn't want many people to know that these creatures exist, because that will expose them to danger, and people might start hunting them, and that's why they try as much as possible to hide their existence from humans. Their talk is cut off by the doorbell, and it's Tazuki who has arrived. Sora gets up to receive him and wants to cover his eyes to show him the new surprise, but Tazuki refuses. At that moment, Tiago and the dragon enter, and as soon as Tazuki sees it, he remembers his memories with the old dragon and starts crying. Afterwards, the three of them sit together and think about what the dragons will eat, and Tiago offers him many types of food, but he refuses them, all until finally, at last, he eats something that looks like fava beans. Kade hears their voices from inside and wakes up from her sleep, and when she comes out and sees Sora sitting with his friends, she is very happy. She sits with them and gets to know Tiago, their new friend, and also the new guests, Koni and the dragon, which still until now has no name. So Tiago decides to choose a new name for it, which is Sa, since it will now stay with her from now on. The next day at school, Tiago was sitting with her friends, and they were showing her their pet animals, and they asked her if she had a pet. She got very excited and was about to let slip a word about Sa, but she remembered at the last moment that Sora told her that humans must not know about the existence of the Oni. So she took back her words and said that she talked to her parents to get her a cat. And as they were leaving, she walked with Tazuki and Sora and apologized to them because she was about to talk about Sa, but they reassured her and told her that if she wants to talk about the topic with someone, she can talk to them only. And of course, the girl was happy. She started telling them about the things Sa does, many unnecessary things. Sora then suggests to them that on the holiday, they come. Spend the day with him so that Sa can spend time with Miko. So they agree. And on the holiday, everyone arrives, and Sa comes out to welcome Koni and Miko's friends, and he treats them as if he is the big brother. Tiago sat with Tazuki and Sora and started telling them that Sa is very smart and managed to learn writing quickly, and she showed them the paper he wrote on. Tazuki was amazed by what he heard and tried to teach Sa English letters, and in a short time, Sa actually managed to learn them and wrote his name in English. And after a while, they noticed that Sa had taken Koni and Miko gathered alone, and it turned out that he was teaching them how to write a message. Miko wrote a thank you message to Sora, thanking him in it for letting it live with him and taking care of it. These messages made our hero very happy, and he was extremely happy. Tigo then told them that Sa wrote her a thank you message too, and when it was Koni's turn, he thought about writing a thank you message too. And Tazuki was sure he would write about food. And indeed, that's what happened. After the food, they got up to wash the dishes, and Tigo noticed that there was a message in the kitchen, and it was Sa who wrote it. Afterwards, they discovered that the three loved the idea of messages so much that they wrote a lot and hid them all over the house. So they decided to make a challenge to see who could find more messages, and they all started searching and finding some beautiful messages. And as they were sitting in the garden of the house, Sora noticed that Koni went to play in the plants, so he warned him not to get close because it's dangerous. But Koni, as usual, acted like the cool kid in your family and didn't listen. He started removing the plant from its place, and suddenly the plant turned out to be a spirit creature and screamed in a loud voice. Sora quickly caught it and closed its mouth with tape, and when they asked him what happened, he told them that his father sent him that plant, and when they discovered that, its voice was so loud that it could cause hearing loss. They decided to get rid of it, but Kade refused and decided to keep it and use it as an alarm because her sleep is heavy. The problem was that the plant noticed that they weren't focusing on it, so it started to escape. Sora then tried to catch it, but it ran quickly and went up on the roof of the house. Everyone ran after it, so there wouldn't be a problem if anyone saw it, and they managed to reach it, but as soon as they touch it, it jumps in the daylight at once. Miko then tried to jump after it, but it fell in the mud, and Koni also tried, but he fell in the water and caught a cold. At that moment, the plant was about to escape, and the tape on its mouth was coming off, but Sa flew quickly and succeeded in catching it. Finish first, man, and give us a rest. At the end of the day, Sora took the plant and planted it again in their house so it wouldn't harm anyone. Afterwards, he noticed that Miko was sad because it couldn't catch it at the river and was feeling frustrated. So Sora thanked it and said that it did its best and there was no need to be sad. And Sora's words made Miko very happy. With the onset of night, everyone started preparing to go back to their homes after the long day of adventures. And each one said goodbye to his friends and went to his house, and they all slept, and thus a new day ended that was full of adventures. Afterwards, we see one of Sora's classmates at school, named Shiki, dreaming that he is in a strange place full of blackness and creatures with a scary appearance. Approaching him, he tries to escape, but a mass of blackness swirls him. The monsters approach him, and at that moment, he wakes up startled from his sleep and finds himself in the classroom, and fatigue appears on him, and he notices the students' looks towards him, so he leaves the classroom immediately. And as he is walking in the hallway, Sora bumps into him, so he apologizes, but suddenly Shiki falls on him from exhaustion. At the same time, on the rooftop, Tazuki and Tiago are waiting for him and are wondering why he is late, but suddenly he enters on them, carrying Shiki on his back, and after laying him down on the cushion, he tells them that he tried to take him to the nurse, but he is forbidden from entering for some reason, and all they did was give him a cushion and a cover to cover himself with, so there was no solution but to bring him with him. Tazuki remembers the words of one of his friends, that there is a strange student in the class next to them who caused a problem in the nurse's office, so he wished to enter and find out, and he found out that Shiki is the one meant. They notice that he is suffering in his sleep, and it appears that he is having nightmares, but suddenly he gets up and attacks Tiago while he is not conscious, but Sora catches her at the last moment, and when Shiki wakes up, he is surprised by the place he is in and yells at them and tells them to stay away from him. Tazuki gets annoyed by his actions and gets up to yell at him, but Sora calms him down. Shiki walks away immediately after the classes are over. Sora goes to look for Shiki's class and indeed reaches him, but Shiki pushes him away and tells him to stay away from him. Sora says, "Man, I just came to give you bandages to treat the wound on your hand because it got hurt," and offers that they walk home together. Shiki is surprised by Sora's actions like this, but he doesn't refuse his request. They walk together indeed, and on the way, the boy tells his story, which is that he lives alone because his father kicked him out of the house because his actions become aggressive when he moves in his sleep, and he breaks everything in front of him. He also tells him that he only has nightmares, and his life has been like this since he was in elementary school. Sora listens to the talk and feels feels sorry for him, so he asks him to come with him to his house, and indeed he goes with him, but is surprised when he finds the house full of protective talismans, which are papers stuck with strange writing on them, thinking they prevent magic and harm, meaning Sora then tells him that they are harmful and removes them and cleanses the whole house. Afterwards, Sora gives him a paper with a strange creature drawn on it named the Baku, and tells him to put it under the pillow and that this creature will appear and eat the nightmares. And of course, our hero laughs while saying this, because it's just a myth that parents would joke about with their children, but he does it as a means that might improve his mood. And Shiki takes the paper indeed and thanks him. At night, the boy puts the paper under the pillow, as Sora told him, and thinks about how kind Sora is, and that he must apologize to him and his friends tomorrow for what he did. He feels that he wants to now and goes to sleep, but suddenly he wakes up to something strange. He sees smoke surrounding him and finds the creature in the picture has appeared and is swallowing the smoke. Shiki thinks that it is sucking his soul, so he gets very scared and calls Sora immediately. And as soon as Sora arrives and sees the creature, he gets very excited and says that it is a spirit creature named the Baku, and he takes it and plays with it and makes Shiki play with it too to break the barrier of fear he has. Sora is surprised when he finds out that this is the first time Shiki has seen these creatures. And afterwards he shows him Miko. The next day at school, Sora was sitting with Tiago and Tazuki, but he wants to sleep because he stayed up all night, and when they ask him about the reason, he tells them what happened and takes them to see Shiki, but they find him absent today, so they repeat asking about him when he comes, but the next day he doesn't come either. The matter repeats for 3 days in a row. On the 4th day, Shiki finally appears, but he is completely changed. The look of fatigue has disappeared from his face, and he tells Sora that he slept for 3 days and didn't wake up until today, and this is probably the first time he slept without having nightmares. Afterwards, he goes to apologize to Tiago because he was about to hit her while sleeping, but she accepts his apology and tells him that she knew about his condition from Sora and offers him to have lunch with them. And of course, the boy agrees, and they have lunch together. After lunch, they go together to Sora's house, and he introduces them to the rest of the creatures he has. They suggest that he choose a name for the Baku, so he chooses names at first that are bad, but in the end, he settles on the name Moku. Shiki is very happy while sitting with them, and they spend time together. Sora goes to take pictures of the small creatures, and they find out that he is recording notes for Miko, and he suggests afterwards that they do the same thing. The next day, Sora and Shiki meet at the school gate, and before going to class, Shiki tells Sora that he will go to apologize to the teachers and the nurse and the people, meaning those he harmed before. He thanks him because, thanks to him, many things in his life have changed, and also things with him have become better. Sora then smiles and tells him that he doesn't have to thank him because they are friends, and between friends, these things aren't done, and afterwards, each one goes his way. Afterwards, we see Tigo leaving school, and her girlfriends are offering her to go out with them, but she apologizes to them and tells them that she is busy and she is on her way to her house. She hears 2 people talking about the Oni creature and that they lost it and must find it immediately. She ignores their talk, and when she goes, she is surprised to find Koni sitting with Sai in her house. Afterwards, the group gathers at Sora's house, and she tells Tazuki that Koni was at her house, and when she asked her mother, she said that he comes every day, so she thought that someone else might find him, and that would put him in danger. Sora then gets an idea that they put Koni and the rest of the creatures with someone they know during school time, and thus they won't feel lonely when they are not there, and they will also be safe. They agree to his idea, but they are worried about the person they will give them to. Sora then reassures them and tells them that they will be surprised when they know him, and the next day, we find out that the person Sora meant is a living statue in one of the temples near his house, and his name is the grandfather. And it's clear that there is a long-standing acquaintance between him and Sora and Tazuki, and he agrees to their request suddenly. And while they are talking, the person appears from behind Sora and kidnaps him and takes him into the temple. Everyone is scared by what happened and thinks that he is a ghost, but they go after him to save their friend. But as soon as they enter, they are surprised by the scene. Sora is sitting with his daughter in front of them, and he tells them that she is the temple guardian, and she has finally agreed to their request. They thank her for her understanding and head to school, and after school is over, they return to take them, and they miss them a lot. Sora then notices that Miko's bandage is shining, contrary to what he expected to find it crying in its usual condition, and they thank the guardian afterwards and leave. The next day before school, Sora comes to drop off Miko, and the others have preceded him in dropping off their animals. In the middle of the day, Miko and its friends are playing to pass the time, and by mistake, Moku bumps into the door and makes it open a small crack. Miko notices a small insect through that crack, so it goes out to see it. But unfortunately, the guardian notices that the door is open, so she closes it, and Miko gets locked out and doesn't manage to get in. It tries to knock on the door, but to no avail. The guardian doesn't hear its sound. And at that moment, it hears someone coming, so it quickly hides under the entrance wood. And there it meets a creature that looks like Koni exactly, but it's not him, and it's an Oni, one of the same type as Koni, meaning the Oni makes signals to Miko and offers it to come with it. Miko understands that it wants to take it back to the temple, so it walks with it. The Oni takes them, and they walk in the forest, and Miko notices that they are moving away from the temple, but still keeps walking after it. The weather starts to rain, so they use tree leaves as an umbrella for them. At that time, the guardian notices that Miko is missing, so she gets up and searches for it, but unfortunately, she doesn't find it because it has reached the middle of the forest, which is a place full of many spirit creatures, and they look strange. The Oni then takes them and continues their way until they reach a tree trunk, and there, it finds that this is its home. It welcomes Miko and is happy that it now has a new friend and wants it to stay with it forever, and it thought that it was lost, which is why it took it with it to help it. Miko understands from its motions that it wants to stay here forever and doesn't want it to go back home, and that's why it cries. The Oni gets tense and thinks about playing with it to calm it down, and when Miko calms down, it points to the door and makes the Oni understand that it wasn't lost or anything. It wants to return to the temple again. The Oni then reassures it that it will return it as soon as the rain stops, and Miko becomes very happy. And when the rain stops, the temple guardian is still worried and searching for Miko, and is very sad because she can't find it, but suddenly she hears its sound, and it has finally arrived with the Oni. She is happy when she sees it, and hugs it because she was worried about it. The Oni then watches them from afar, and waves to its friend, saying goodbye, and leaves. Afterwards, when Sora comes to the guardian, she tells him everything that happened, and he gets angry at Miko because it could have been exposed to danger, but he is reassured when he knows that the Oni returned it. Sora then asks it if it thanked the Oni or not. At night, we see the Oni walking in the forest, going towards the temple, and under the entrance, it finds a paper, so it takes it. That paper has a drawing of it, and Miko was sent to it as a thank you message for its help, and it is very happy with it to the extent that it hangs it in its home. Days pass, and afterwards we go to Tazuki's house, and his sister comes and complains to him about Koni because it ate her cake, and this is the 9th time it has done that. She is very sad because that cake came to her from Sora. Its taste is very sweet. He calms her down, Tazuki, and tells her that he will talk to Koni about this matter. He goes afterwards and yells at him for his action, but Koni, as usual, like the cool kid in your family, shows him that he is not interested in his talk. Tazuki gets angry and says to him that if he doesn't listen, he will not take care of him, and if he causes problems again, then he should leave the house. At that moment, Koni remembers memories from his past, and there are people around him hurting him, but still, he shows that he is not interested in Tazuki's words. The next day, Tazuki wakes up from sleep, but is surprised when he finds Koni not there and the window is open. He thinks that it went out to play, as always, and will return immediately. He doesn't care much and goes to school, and there his friends ask him why. He didn't bring Koni to the temple today, so he tells them that it went out alone, and by the time he goes home, it will have returned, surely. But when he goes, he finds his sister in front of him, and she has prepared a meal for Koni, but she tells Tazuki that it didn't come down today at all, as she is used to. And indeed, when Tazuki goes up to see it in the room, he doesn't find it, and he remembers if it really left, upset from the words he said to it yesterday. The next day at school, he notices that Tazuki is not normal, and severe fatigue appears on him because he didn't sleep all night and was searching for Koni. And when Sora finds out, he says that they must search for it quickly, but he replies with coolness and says that he is not interested because it left by its own will. And at the end of school, Shiki and Tiago come, and immediately when they find out that Koni is missing, they say that they will search for it, but Tazuki still prevents them from searching for it. But this time, Sora says that they will search for it because it might be lost and needs their help. So Tazuki gets annoyed by his words and leaves him to walk away. At that moment, he remembers memories from when he was a child when he found the little dragon, and he sees one of the times when he was escaping with the dragon from someone holding a stick. Their talk is cut off by one of his classmates, him that he closed the door suddenly. He starts running and says that he must prevent them from searching for Koni, and on the way, away. While he is running, he remembers the painful incident that happened to him before. He says to himself that from the beginning, he wanted Coney to leave, but he couldn't kick it out. He was relieved when it left on its own, but it is very clear that he is lying to himself. He starts crying because he was harsh on Coney. At that time, Sora comes to him by chance, who is also searching, and while they are talking, Sora notices Coney on the roof of one of the houses, so they start running after it, but it runs away with unnatural speed. He and Tazuki get separated in the middle of the way, and the one who calls out loudly for Coney to return, but to no avail. And Sora manages to reach Coney, but he is surprised that it is not him. It turned out to be someone else of the same type. We return to Tazuki, who, in one of the places, notices something. It turns out that Coney was stuck in one of the openings all this time and wasn't running away or anything. And when he gets it out, he is very relieved that it is safe. At the same moment, our hero arrives and tells them that they were running after a fake Coney. Tiago and Shiki arrive too and say that they found Coney's pants in the river. They thought that it had drowned, but they are relieved when they see it in front of them, still alive and safe. And also, it was bringing a flower to give to Tazuki's sister because it made her sad. They go afterwards to reassure the group at the temple, and each one of them prepares to go to his house. And as they are walking, Tazuki starts talking to Coney and says that he wants to tell him two things. The first thing is that he apologizes to him for yelling at him the other night, but still, he tells him that what he did was wrong. He must not eat food that isn't his. The second thing, he tells him the story that happened to him, that a long time ago, he met a small dragon that was trying to escape from hunters. He tried to help it, but it ended with the situation that he put it in, danger. And that's why, from the beginning, he didn't want to put Coney in danger and wanted it to leave. But after what they lived through together, he wants it to stay with him forever. And if at any time it needs his help or is in danger, he will be by its side. Coney then is greatly affected when he remembers how people treated him in the past, and that he just wanted a hand to hug him. He starts crying, and for the first time, tears come down from the cool kid, from the family. And you feel sorry for him like that and love him. Days pass after that, and we see Sora entering the house and calling for K-Day, but no one answers him. He finds a message or a strange box on the table, and in the message, K-Day tells him that she left for important work. As for the box, it is a package from your father, and at that moment, Sora knows that a disaster is coming. And indeed, the box starts making a strange sound before he even opens it. He thinks about keeping the dog and Miko away from here so that the danger doesn't reach them, but his talk is cut off by the doorbell, and it turns out Tazuki has come to visit him. And because Sora is sure that what's inside the box is dangerous, he refuses to let him in because he is afraid for him. But Tazuki doesn't give up and comes to him from the back door. And when he finds out that there is a package coming from Sora's father, he gets ready too to open the box. Sora then lets him take the animals outside the house, but at that time, he takes advantage of the opportunity, and as soon as they go out, he closes the door and locks them out to open the box by himself. And suddenly, the tape on the box cuts by itself. Black smoke fills the place. The sound of someone talking and saying that he is Anubis wants to return to his country, the mother of the world. Yes, it is dear Egypt. And when he appears, it turns out to be a statue in the shape of a dog, which is one of the guards of the ancient Egyptian tombs, and his name is Anubis. He tells Sora that he was in a gift shop in Egypt, and his father bought him, but he didn't know that he was one of the spirit creatures, so he bought him as a normal gift for his son. All that was bothering him was that he was imprisoned in a box throughout that trip. And while he is talking, he notices Miko, so he asks Sora about it. He tells him that it is a mummy, but Anubis replies that it is not a mummy because he knows mummies well, and suddenly he puts it in his mouth to make sure, and Sora is shocked. But Anubis reassures him that he won't eat it, and Miko is enjoying the matter as if it's a massage session. After he finishes, he confirms to them that Miko is not a mummy, indeed, but he doesn't know what it is exactly. Afterwards, he remembers that there was something else that came with him in the box as a gift for Sora from his father, which turns out to be a huge bag of sand coming from Egypt. Sora worries about it because it's coming from his father, but nothing happens. He takes it and puts it in a glass box and notices that Miko is very impressed with it, so he puts it in the sand and it keeps playing in it, and it looks happy because it's from its home country. Afterwards, a little later, Tiago and Shiki come, and Sora tells them that they have a new guest and introduces them to Anubis, who came from the mother of the world. And when they sit, Tiago asks about the identity of Anubis, so Tazuki tells her that he is one of the rulers of the underworld in ancient Egyptian myths, so the girl is amazed that he is a figure of such importance. They continue talking, and suddenly Sora gets a hiccup and is very embarrassed by it. Tazuki is happy because he has never seen Sora embarrassed to this extent, so he tries to annoy him and tells him that there is a myth that says if you get hiccups 100 times, you will die. Of course, it's a joke, but Miko and the others hear this talk and get terrified. Afterwards, Sora notices that Miko is coming over, but the bandages on it are coming undone. He is very scared for it and tries to stop it, but the others block his way. Their malicious intention appears, and with an evil look, he wants to know what is inside Miko, so he prevents Sora from going after it. Tigo is also worried about Miko and tries to grab it, but unfortunately, she grabs the end of the bandage, and this makes it come off faster. Sora then tries to resist Tazuki to catch up with Miko, and at that moment, a bright light appears in Tazuki's eyes, and this makes Sora able to break free from him and run immediately to Miko and ask it about the reason that makes it do that. At that moment, Miko pretends that it has hiccups and tells Sora that it heard them talking, and Tazuki then comes and tells them that the matter of dying from hiccups is a myth, so they get very angry at him. But Miko is happy that Sora won't die. They sit afterwards and try to return the bandages as they were, but they can't no matter how hard they try, and suddenly they return by themselves as they were without any intervention. At that time, it is time for everyone to go home, but before he leaves, Shiki tells them that the place has become like a zoo of strange creatures, and there is nothing normal in this house except for the dog Buchi. But they are shocked when Sora tells them that he has lived for more than 100 years, and his father sent him too. At night, Kade returns and gets to know Anubis because she thought he was just a statue when she saw the package. Anubis then thanks them for the day he spent with them and says that the best thing is to find someone to talk to freely. Sora smiles and tells him that he will surely have fun with them from now on. Afterwards, we go to Sora and Tazuki at school, and one of their classmates named Shosuke shows them a picture of a strange-looking dog and tells them that it is surely a spirit or a ghost because when he photographed it, it disappeared. And he tells them that he took the picture at a mountain called Bachia, where there are rumors that any human who enters that mountain never comes back. He replies that it's just a normal dog, and he is surely imagining it. But when he leaves, they know that it's not just a dog. It's a spirit creature. Afterwards, all the friends gather together and decide to go search for that dog because it might be in danger. Tazuki is the first one to agree to that idea, and this makes Sora surprised because he thought that he, in particular, would refuse. But it's clear that something has changed inside him after the Koni incident, so they agree to go search for it tomorrow night. Sora is about to sleep, but Anubis wakes him up and says that he wants to listen to a drama, so he goes with him to turn on the television. The next day, they go to drop off their animals at the temple, but Miko keeps holding on to Sora's clothes and doesn't want to let him go. And this is because he woke up last night from a nightmare and didn't find Sora next to him. And since then, he has been holding on to him like this and refuses to let him go. So for that reason, Sora repeats that he will take him with him, and the temple guardian puts a special mark on him so he doesn't get lost like last time. And after school, the group moves to go to Mount Bachia, and as soon as they arrive, it appears as an ordinary mountain to them. But they take their caution because of the rumors that say strange creatures appear here. And they find a path that leads to the top of the mountain, but the path splits into two paths, so they decide to split into two teams. Each one of them searches in a path, and they ask Tazuki about the date, so Shiki tells them that today is the summer solstice. Sora then feels something strange when he hears the date, and there was something missing that he must remember, but he doesn't care and continues. Unfortunately, they don't find any trace of the dog, and the stranger thing is that there aren't any other creatures present, so they return to the meeting point, and Sora tells them that they must leave because he feels that something is about to happen. But as soon as he moves, he feels a strange feeling and asks them if they felt like him. His talk is cut off by the sound of Tazuki, who says that the two paths have disappeared and become one path. And suddenly the world turns into horror and music sound starts playing in the place. At that moment, Sora remembers the things that were missing, and he goes back to his memories when he was a child. He tells Tazuki that he got 2 tickets for the Earth Festival for them to go together, but he refused at the time. We return to the present and the look of horror on Sora's face, and he tells them that they have entered the Earth Festival, and this place is forbidden for any humans to enter without an invitation because they don't host humans at all. Suddenly, they hear a sound. Behind them, 3 people sitting on a table that appeared out of nowhere introduce themselves as the festival guards and ask them to present the invitations. Sora then steps forward and tells them that he will solve the matter and explains that they got lost and found themselves here by mistake. The guard gets very angry and turns into a huge monster and says that no human can enter the sacred festival without an invitation. He must be punished. Sora suggests that he be punished alone and let his friends go. The monster says that he is brave, but it won't work. He raises his hand up. At that moment, Miko, in Sora's pocket, sees something glowing. He takes it out out and puts it in the monster's face, and it turns out to be the festival invitations. Thus, the situation changes completely, and their entry becomes allowed. The monster calms down and asks them to enjoy the festival, and at that moment, Tazuki gets very angry at Sora and hits him. He is angry at him because he does everything according to his own whim. He wanted to sacrifice himself for their sake. Then, out of anger, he leaves him and walks away. Sora then goes after him to understand him, but the sound of someone calling him from afar cuts him off. The one calling him is one of his old acquaintances named Yamada, who welcomes him, and it appears that Yamada is the one who gave him the tickets when he was little. Afterwards, Shiki and Tigo and Sora tell Yamada that they came to search for an injured dog, and Yamada tells them that they mean the wolves, and tells them that there were two brother wolves, and when the humans saw the wolves, one sacrificed himself so his brother could escape, so he got injured, but he managed to survive in the end. They go afterwards to check on the wolves, but find them choking. Sora and Tazuki decide to return them to each other, so each one goes after one of them. Sora reaches one and finds him crying, and calms him down and tells him that his friend fought with him for his own good, and at the same time, Tazuki reaches the other and tells him that his friend sacrificed himself for him because he loves him. At that moment, the two wolves make up, and at the same time, Sora and Tazuki make up too. Outside the festival, at the guards, a human comes and presents a forged ticket, and they immediately know that he is a hunter. We return to Tazuki, who is telling Sora that something happened a long time ago, but he hid it from him because he was afraid to separate from him, especially if the spirit creatures that Sora cares about were exposed to danger. Sora then replies that he was preparing himself from the beginning for Toski's departure because he believes that friendship is not eternal and that you must be prepared that anyone who enters your life will eventually leave it. But he says this while suppressing sadness because he sees Tazuki not just as a friend, but as a brother, and even more than a brother. Tazuki then replies with strength and says that he will never leave him. He will always be there to extend his hand to him at any time. And finally, the water returns to its streams. Afterwards, they gather at the waterfall of the spirit creatures. The place gives them an unnatural comfort. They watch the wolves as they climb the waterfall and remember a myth that says that if they reach the top, they will appear in their adult form. But in the midst of these atmospheres, they don't notice someone behind them watching them and smiling. Suddenly, he kidnaps Miko. Afterwards, two of the guards appear and ask them if they saw anyone suspicious. At that moment, Sora notices that Miko is missing. He moves to search, calling everywhere, but Miko doesn't answer him. One of the festival guards at the comes to them and tells them that a human poacher infiltrated here. He is surely the one who kidnapped Miko. Sora is shocked by what he hears and that he might not be able to see him again. Yamada tries to calm him down and tells them that the guards have surrounded the place, and the poacher surely won't be able to escape, but his talk is cut off by the sound of the guards' alarm, and this means that they haven't found the poacher until now. Shiki then talks and remembers that the temple guardian put a mark on Miko, and surely that will help them find him. So Sora starts calling for Miko in a loud voice, and at the same time, Miko is with the poacher, who is happy that he will earn a lot of money from the mummy he found. He tries to remove the bandages from it, but at that moment, Sora's voice reaches Miko. The mark activates and releases a doll tied with a string that flies in the air. The group knows that Miko is above the waterfall, so Sora decides to go up himself, and with the help of Tiego, he manages to reach the rocks and climbs them one by one. But unfortunately, his hand slips and he is about to fall. But suddenly the wolves appear and catch him and climb the waterfall until he finally arrives. At the same moment, the poacher tries to cut the string that appeared from Miko, and he is about to succeed in cutting it. But oh, the joy was not completed. Sora reaches him before he escapes and demands that he release Miko immediately. The poacher is surprised that a human is present here. He says to him that he surely wants it for the money, but Sora gets angry at him and says that Miko is a member of his family. He will never let him harm it at all. He attacks him, but the poacher easily manages to push him away and is about to escape, but suddenly he hears a disappointing sound. It turns out to be the sound of the king of the earth and the owner of the festival, who says that he will punish him for defiling his land without permission. Plants then come out of the ground and fix the poacher in his place, and lightning comes down from the sky and annihilates him literally. Miko returns to Sora finally, and afterwards, the guards take the poacher to receive his punishment. And as thanks to Sora and his friends for helping them catch the intruder, they present them with gifts. They send with them a gift for the temple guardian, because of whom they were able to catch the intruder, and they convey the thanks of the king of the earth to them. And after they bid them farewell, they go afterwards home and Sora to spend the night, and there they find that their animals are upset because they didn't attend the festival like them. But Sora tells them that there is a gift gift coming from the festival that will compensate them. And at first, he is afraid that it will turn out like his father's gifts, but it appears afterwards that it's just a decoration. They make a small festival with it inside the house, and they all prepare and wear festival clothes and enjoy themselves. Afterwards, they sit together, and Sora says that he doesn't want this sweet thing to ever end. He wants them to stay friends forever and never separate, and he offers them to go out together in the summer vacation that is approaching. Everyone agrees and starts suggesting the places they will go to, and the world is extremely sweet. Kade is standing and looking at her nephew, and in her eyes there is a look of pride because he broke the thing of loneliness that he was in all his life, making friendships that have no equal. And of course, up to here, our journey with Sora and his friends ends. And the truth is, it was a unique journey of its kind and a different video, and that's what made it distinct and sweet. I hope then that you liked the story, and okay, goodbye.